all that. But one of the things that he mentioned was, as is the industry is articulating a requirement, and the academia is showing its willingness to come forward and address the problems. One of the things he said is that globally credit courses are well known, right? While you're doing mechanical engineering, if there is one credit that you want to pick up in another stream, it is open to you. In the Indian system, the credit courses, which should have been the plug and play, it's not happening, and that is where your interaction is absolutely required. If you have a requirement, you see a shortage of a certain type of manpower, what stops you from creating a small credit course and plugging it into the academia, and what stops them from accepting it and saying that, offering it to their students, saying that this is something that this part of the industry requires?
What you have said exactly a solution to the problem, because like you see Infosys and all, what they did, if they could make a civil engineer into a computer engineer. So it's all the mindset, it's the issue of mindset. This watertight compartmentalization is something which needs to be done with it. You see in all developed countries, this domain agnosticism, it is something which is a reality. So it does not mean whether you are a student of art and humanities and you could become a computer engineer, much better than in fact a trained electronics engineer. So the point is that we have to actually, what Sharma ji said rightly, that some base level of competence if you infuse, then just imagine what, I was really amazed at seeing that Sharda University beyond boundaries, if you see, that is something which is required. Something to think, beyond the artificial barriers that we have created. They are all, in fact, paradigms of our own creation. So we have to outlive these limitations and outgrow these limitations of thoughts. We are prisoners of those. And we get intellectually, myopic. We lose the perspective, that ultimately a civil engineer for 1.5 years is given a common training. Common courses, in fact, are taught to them. And it's just one bit that is different. So if you can kind of reconfigure the course curriculum or his orientation, or probably give him something in addition to that, some kind of a backup course, one can rightly do it.
And as an organization, we are a portal. We are servicing both sides of the table. And if you can post jobs on a job portal, what stops you from posting your projects on the portal? I'm sure they would respond happily. We are a marketplace.
Sorry. Again, unfortunately, it's not so simple. It's much more complicated than that. You can just take a straw poll today. If you look at the IITs, none of us will say that IITs are the best of institutes. All get close to close. But then if you take a straw poll in this room, I think not one company would have given a project to IIT in the recent past.
I don't agree with you.
No, okay, that's a good.
Not one only, not just one. There are quite a few they are giving. In fact, because
if you look at
they give it to IIT
projects which a company has and which is going to an IIT, so far.
I think, listen, we have gone beyond that. Organizations, in fact, are not only giving them few projects, but partnering with IITs, in fact, to come out with solutions to the problems they face.
Then what is the what level of partnership is happening is a question.
Quite involved, yeah. It could be varied. I don't disagree with you
It's
there.
very few. It's very
few. No, but I found I don't know. I disagree.
I think the truth lies somewhere in between what they both are saying. Possibly the critical mass that we are looking at, we have to reach that point. So that critical mass is going to happen. Process has commenced, but a lot more journey.
Yeah, that's right. There is a lot of gap. Not everybody is doing it. But good institutions, good organizations, at least the few that I've been with, in fact, they've been doing it. Reliance, I was there, I was with NTPC. NTPC did it in a large way. And in Reliance, we did it like right, left and center. And even here in JSPL, in fact, we have tied up actually with IIM at Ranchi and IIM at Raipur and all the IITs. In fact, IIT Delhi and IIT Mumbai, we are having very active collaborations and we are actually partnering them. And they are partnering us rather.
And
they are helping us out.
one of the things that we could do is we could actually amplify these projects. If you are working with an IIT or something, since we are in the media, and if you are working with any institutes and you feel that there is one project which has done exceedingly well because you worked with the students and the academia, these are things that we would love to amplify. That is where your brand comes up. The brand manufacturing comes up. Brand IT is, you don't need to sell it anymore. Brand ITES, they are making a very concerted effort to sell. Brand manufacturing, it's not a brand manufacturing. It is a Whirlpool and a Jindal and a...
There was a time when people were wanting to join Tata Steel or Tata Motors. So there was a lot
But
of
it was
prestige.
Tata, it was not
No,
brand
I fully
manufacturing.
I fully agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
possibly that was happening in a very small measure to make an impact on the industry. Today, I think we are adding to your point that manufacturing needs to
Yes.
scale up on its branding effort and position themselves as such. So the point which is emerging today is the interaction between the campuses and the industry has to be much more. Possibly we need to leapfrog our efforts to arrive at a destination which should have been reached a couple of decades back. I mean, some of the institutions I have been associated with, like MDI Gurgaon, while I was in GSPN, I mean, it was next to us. It was next to our office, which was, and I was picked up as a mentor for a couple of students to underline his point that he made in his opening remarks. Things are happening, but it's happening in a small measure. So we have to apply a force multiplier kind of a thing to this whole effort. And this becomes a floodgate rather than one.
Sanjeev, what you said rightly, I think this has to be kind of actually, as you say, amplified.
Yeah.
In fact, because what happens is that we all, in fact, have to find time. On Saturdays, Sundays, I'm going. So many people I've heard they are going, in fact, and sparing the time, and is talking to the students, in fact, giving them directions, and telling them what is needed, what is not required. Because a lot of people, you know, they say, when the campus we hire people, in fact, from, they come with what is my profile. Now the point is that even in students, the this mental engineering or re-engineering has to be done there as well, because what's happening, they come with a very fixed notion about profiles. The point is that as the country grows, as the society grows, as the culture grows, you know, and it will happen in India also, and it's happening in part, in some way actually, that this domain agnosticism is developing more and more, and it has to be nurtured further. That well, don't keep any restrictions, don't keep yourself myopic, but actually think broader, beyond horizons actually, beyond boundaries. And that is the solution actually. Because we are limiting ourselves unnecessarily. I'm inhibiting my own growth by thinking that I'm only carved out for this.
Exactly. Very rightly said.
That's very sad.
This collaboration piece, I think, has to begin right from the intake of students into a college actually. You know, the rigor that is applied in terms of intake of students in the colleges, I think that needs to be made much more practical and much more industry relevant. You see too much of percentile-oriented,
Yes.
selection happening in a lot of colleges. I don't think it's very comprehensive in terms of addressing the issue of competence.
It's actually addressing only the intellectual quotient. The
Absolutely.
emotional quotient, the spiritual quotient, the value quotient just goes for a toss. And unless and until now, you actually take into account these things, which are far more important than mere the physical or the emotional or the intellectual quotient, the whole issue is not addressed actually. Because competence is not just lying in numbers. It may not be in the first 90th, 99th percentile to be successful. Success can be, I mean, made up of so many other elements.
Other way around.
It's not necessarily even that. It could be that I'm in the 99th percentile and still successful and still the best. The golden rule today is that there are no golden rules.
We are talking about
That is something you have to be
it's
very
not only
clear.
skill, it's attitude, it's the
A
way
new
you
trend
do
which
the
I
job,
witnessed.
how you are socially interacting. It is not only once you come on the machine and you start working. It's interpersonal skill. You have to handle the labor also. You have to work with your bosses also, colleagues also.
Absolutely.
So humanities has to be part of engineering, which
Aarti, you
many
said it.
colleges are doing it.
Yeah, she said it actually,
Yeah.
because you know, managing myself
Yeah.
itself is an issue.
Yeah.
Managing others is a larger issue.
Yes.
Managing organization of business is a far larger issue, and managing change ultimately is a totally different issue. So unless until I am cutting across these, requirements.
I think actually that's the biggest gap. Although skill gap is there, and skill gap we all understand that I will never get as fully skilled, fresher coming into my workforce. But the biggest gap is actually the behavioral gap.
Behavior, yes.
Because the campus atmosphere and the corporate atmosphere is two totally different worlds. When I hire a fresher in my organization right now, the training time is lengthened because of the behavioral gap. He, does not, have the kind of deadline or a cost consciousness as a corporate would accept. And by the time he gets all those understanding, that's 6 months down the line. Skills can always be taught.
Very
But the
good.
behavioral
Yeah,
gap,
I agree.
that's the biggest
So your
significance.
selection process itself kind of limits your selection, of the right candidates.
Absolutely.
So we have to open up a bit. You have to open up your pipeline. Totally, it has to be a paradigm shift. That you start applying yourself, getting out of the domain, getting out of those claustrophobic, watertight compartmentalization in your own mind first of all, then in the physical surrounding.
One of the trends which I've noticed in Delhi possibly, now some of the schools have started taking a group of students to the industry and Then they make them see actually how a chartered accountant, what he does, an engineer, what he does. So the seeds of this kind of a profession, the choice of profession are getting seeded in the minds of the younger generation very early today. So the task for the academic institutions and the campuses becomes even more onerous because the behavioral behaviors that you associate with a particular profession will possibly have to be amplified and possibly molded while they're at the campuses. Because the industry will not have the patience and the time, and there will be great amount of budget constraint and reluctance to invest time. So possibly we'll do it in a masked way. I mean, I'll possibly outsource this entire activity, and once we have known that there's a tested commodity, we'll take them on board. What we just mentioned about the technical knowledge.
Speaking now, let me just inform you that a lot of emphasis is being put on this. Let's say our university, they have, let's say, about 350 faculty, and 35 of them are exclusively devoted for engineering students, only for this kind of development. It is very detailed curriculum, a lot of exercises on teamwork, on team building, on values, on how values actually ultimately lead to change in your perception, and how do you start behaving in a particular fashion, how some of your habits restrict your growth and performance, so how you have to shed some of those habits which are not performance oriented, how you have to develop new habits which will take you forward in terms of active workplace performance. All this is very structured, it's being done. Even at the initial stage when we recruit, we conduct a small performance psychological analysis also. So this group of 35 people, there are people from English background, from psychology background, from social work background, from MBA, HR background, people who have worked in industry for 5, 6 years, 8 years, love to do teaching, they are coming back to campuses and devoting time. So all this is happening.
So we also
This is something which can happen because it doesn't need an equipment, it requires only knowledge and skill development. But when it comes to giving exposure on the practical aspect, that's where the campuses are. That's the biggest weakness. This weakness is being addressed. That's being addressed.
One more, sorry. One more thing which probably needs to be addressed at the academia level. While we talk about mentorship for the students, I think even the faculty needs to go through some kind of industry mentorship. They are not very, very realistic in terms of the kind of teaching that they do today. I think it's extremely important for them also to go through some kind of internship. They need to be doing a lot more industry research projects. They need to be working very, very closely with the industry to understand, look, if these are the requirements of the industry, then this is the kind of skill that I need to impart to these students. I think it has to be done across all levels. The students alone will not help. Even the faculty needs to be thoroughly tuned into the needs of the industry.
Which was the point I made with when I passed it on to Mr. Sharma, that it is not only students everybody is articulating, but the very people who train the students themselves need to be very oriented towards the industry, because the pace of growth is so intense.
One very valid point which he made is the teachers that you have today are not as
By choice.
passionate as they used to be earlier.
That's
again
How do we overcome that constraint? That's the challenge.
That's also a challenge.
And what we are thinking is, we have been debating on this and we have been brainstorming on this. See, we are conducting the tertiary or the higher education at distinctly different levels. One, what we call is the base level, say BTech or MBA or MBBS or whatever. 80% of the students thereafter go and join the corporate or take up a career and start progressing. So employment orientation is the biggest object that is to be achieved there. Majority of students want that. Then the advanced learning level, where you have MTechs, where you are specializing and gaining advanced knowledge of one particular domain actually. And then you go to the research level, where you are contributing by terms of new research and new generation of knowledge, doctoral, postdoctoral and all that. Now at this level, the interaction has to be at the base level is that, say in the final you will run some courses, let's say on steel and power, let's say on consumer durable manufacturing. These kind of courses are not there. Now one of the faculty members or two of the faculty members are assigned to this. Now for that steel and power, they visit you, you give them on this thing, they observe, they learn, bring 80% of the learning to the campuses. Students are basically prepared. Then some of your expert people visit once or twice. You allow the students to visit and take up a 45 days or 30 days training and exposure. The students will learn a lot about manufacturing of steel or of power generation or distribution of power or whatever be the field time. So at that level, even if this, then there should be projects associated with that, that should be guided, some that should be mentored. So that faculty is constantly in interaction with you. He's the single point of contact between the industry and the academia. The same person as a faculty can develop a group at the postgraduate level and take up your research projects and can do projects which are of value to you, which give you information. He interacts, so he develops his knowledge. Eventually, a very intelligent person will do it in 1 year's time, a less intelligent person might do it over 2 years or 2.5 years. But a person having an MTech degree or PhD degree any day will be able to do and respond at that level. So that is how, and as they go on getting this exposure, their awareness about what industry challenges and issues are currently and how we can help to contribute in that and suggest solutions, and some of those solutions might be of value to you.
I think I can possibly put it slightly differently in the sense that just as corporates are now entrusted with a lot of CSR responsibility, one of the responsibilities towards the industry has to discharge towards academia is how to help them create industry-ready graduates. So that has to be taken as one of the responsibility. It's not a demand that we can always keep making on the campus.
How much are we doing for
How much we are doing, how much we are helping them do.
You said that CSR, corporate social responsibility, this has to be very genuine CSR, not be tom-tomming CSR, which most companies are prone to doing actually, to say that we have done something for CSR. That I call that, excuse me, tom-tomming is
Exactly.
90% of the people are not doing, simply justifying.
No, I would defend the industry. It's not 90%. There are a handful of black sheep, but the situation is much encouraging and much more helpful, I would say. And I've worked for companies like
There are
JSP,
people who are very genuinely concerned.
they have done the kind of things that they have done for the society.
So this genuine concern in industry and genuine desire to move forward in academics will bring together a critical mass, others can follow that model, and from there it permeate to all different directions.
Jashi, there's a fear actually in this kind of a discussion. It happens academia and industry. The point is always that, academia is given a kind of a secondary status, that you should subserve my needs. As Sanjeev rightly says that how much they subserve your need, the point is how much effort you made to actually first of all clarify your needs and be understood, be clearly understand first before then be understood by the industry, by the academia. The other thing is that academia has to be academia also. I mean, too much of saying that, you just do it for these sectors, that sector, and prepare yourself in the industry, that's not the only purpose. The purpose of the academic institution is to prepare a student for managing his life.
Yeah, very right.
Not just a few careers.
Yeah.
The point is that sacrosanct nature and purpose of an academic institution has to be kept in mind.
It's like a fine balance.
It should not only do as IMA, we did that study there, that it should not only be doing what the industry needs and producing what the industry wants, but should also determine what the industry should want. So that aspect should be. That is also a higher level kind of responsibility of the academia and the industry to respect it. I tell you, many HR heads, I've seen they go to institutions in fact, as alumni, and they kind of, so what is your guidance to us and all, everything. People are genuinely those students. And these people, I call them irresponsible. They just to show off there, in fact, they go that all that you study in books is nothing, in this thing absolutely different happens. They are giving a very, very wrong message. The point is that you teach them to be first teach them to be disciplined, and then ask them to break the rules. I can understand. As a logic of creativity and problem solving, yes, you can do that. But a very, very hardcore, upbringing and kind of, an understanding of the academics, that will shape you into a better manager of business in later years. It's not that you kind of, give up everything, that all that is written in the book is of no relevance, no. Theoretical actually has to be, it has a compounding impact on your learning actually. The better the academics that you have been put up to, and you have actually qualified as, it actually determines how kind of an engineer or a business manager you can become. So the point is that there has to be a very fine balance. The pendulum swings the other side. The moment, you give a little, lose your restraint and say that, I can say very easily that what is in the industry is entirely different. You are taught something else. Yes, it's theory. It's theory, but its theory is also to be understood. I'm saying, you be breaking the rules is the life. You break all the rules, but first be disciplined. So be disciplined, and then you have and understand first the whole, then you can understand where to break the rules in fact and still keep the holistic
You have put it very
understanding
rightly.
intact.
You have put it very rightly. What we normally say is, you see, till sometimes back, the working span used to be some 35 years or maybe 36 years. Now with, you see, average age going up and a lot of good nutrition and
Lifestyle.
health and lifestyle and health consciousness basically. Now, a student who's graduating in 2015 would be working up to 2075, maybe 60 years or 50 years he'll be. The kind of research that is coming in the human life will get extended to 140 years in 20 years time. Those who survive for next 25 years would enjoy,
Would enjoy or
would
not enjoy.
enjoy
Either way.
at least 50 years more.
How enjoy
At
or
least.
suffer, that's different. But that's a
Science is guaranteeing 100 years more, but they'll enjoy definitely 50 years more.
Yeah,
So the average age is going to go up to 120 to 140 years in 30 years time. That's the kind of technology which is evolving in the medical front. Now, a person who is graduating in 2015 and retiring in 2075 after 50 years or 60 years of career, you can't teach skills for 2065 or 2075 because you don't know what's going to emerge then. So what you can teach is what currently is the state of the knowledge that should be relevant and that should be something the student is able to grasp, come to terms with, apply and learn from there. What you have to teach is thereafter the curiosity to learn continuously over his lifetime, a thinking, a responding individual, a performing individual.
absolutely.
And as this situation or the scenario unfolds, he adjusts, he adopts, he argues, he persuades, he learns, he absorbs and converts himself to a next higher level of response. So that has to be inculcated. A very creative, a very thinking, a very responding and above all a good human being.
Yeah,
Because
this-
unless he is a good human being, he will create more value loss than he will create value contribution. It will need
Yeah,
to elect
industry,
properly.
I mean the
So-
whole concept of
Exactly.
industry-ready graduates, I somehow or the other fail to understand because the point is that it sounds very good to me that yes, I should have
Good enough to
in
take
fact-
off. Good
It's
enough
right,
to take off.
Right,
Good
fine, I
enough
have
to
nothing
take
against
off.
if you can have it, fine.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's the industry's responsibility to actually have people, the kind of people that
Let
you
me
want.
put this in perspective. 2 days ago, I was speaking to a very senior